Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, or Eternia. The John Campea Show, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined in studio today by our technical producer, Jonathan Voico.
Hello, everybody.
Writer, director, producer, Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett.
How's it going?
And most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show part of your day. And our show is just simply talking about our favorite things in the world. We talk about movies and movie news, TV and streaming, and all that good stuff. And we're not going to waste any time, guys. We're going to jump right into it. And we're going to start with this. Went to go see Masters of the Universe last night. I've been really curious about it. You guys know I'm a big Travis Knight fan, and I saw some really good reactions. We read the reviews. They looked pretty positive, like not glowing, but they look pretty positive. And you know, as a Travis Knight fan, I've been really wanting to really like this film. And I recorded an out of the theater review last night, but I had been on the road for 44 hours straight coming back, got home in the morning just in time to get ready for yesterday's show, worked all through the day, went to the movie at 7 o'clock at night. And when I got home at 10:30 at night, which is normally when I'll then, edit and post the out of theater reaction, I immediately fell asleep. So that's why I didn't get my out of theater reaction last night. But let's talk about Masters of the Universe. All right. Didn't love it. Not sure I liked it. Now, let me start by talking about the things about the movie that I really did enjoy. There are a number of elements of the movie that I really quite liked. Number one, the action was really good. Like the straight up hand-to-hand combat action is really good. The first kind of key combat scene in the movie is Man-at-Arms versus Lockjaw. There's a fight that happens between these two characters. And the fight choreography, and it was great. It was filmed beautifully. It felt visceral. So everything from the smaller individual fights to the larger, grander scale fights, I really think we're done quite well. I mean, not Civil War level, but I thought really quite well done. And so I really liked that part of it. The other thing I got to mention that I really quite liked about it. Somebody just mentioned it in the live chat. I actually thought the combat was better in this movie than it was in Mortal Kombat.
Wow.
Just the way it's shot, the way it feels visceral, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, the other thing I really liked about the movie, and I suspected I would because I heard a lot of people talking about it, Skeletor's great. Skeletor's really good because on the one hand, he's really menacing and whatever most of the time. But then every once in a while, because this is based on Skeletor, right? He can be kind of funny too at the same time. I'll just say this. There's a vision sequence in this movie that might have been my favorite segment of the film. I won't go into any details so no spoilers, but it involves Adam and it involves Skeletor. And it was one of my favorite parts of the movie. Some people were asking me, why do you think Jared Leto hasn't gone on the press tour with the rest of the cast? I think because 99.9% of people are going to come out of that movie never knowing that was Jared Leto. Obviously, because you never see his face or anything like that. But I really liked Skeletor. I got to say, I really did. The other thing I really quite liked in the movie, but there was not nearly enough of him, but he was in it a little bit more than I thought he would be, and I loved every second he was, Cringer. Battle Cat, a.k.a. Battle Cat. I really like Cringer. I like Cringer a lot. That was really well done. And I got to say, the humor in spots was pretty good. The humor in spots was pretty good. So I do not actively dislike this movie. I think there's some significantly good pros in it. I think, and a couple of jokes that worked were particularly ones that harkened back to the original animated series, because the movie itself is not above poking fun at the original animated series. And they do that in a couple of spots that I thought were really quite well. Not all the jokes worked. A lot of the jokes didn't work, but some of them worked really quite well. Okay. Let me talk about the things that I did not like about the movie. And I'm going to start with a really surprising one. Alison Brie's Evelyn.
Wow.
Hated the character. Came across as just completely play on words with Cringer, but completely cringy the whole time. never remotely even felt like she fit into this silly fantasy world. And it just didn't work. I'm definitely not blaming Alison Brie for it. Maybe it was a miscast. Maybe it was just the way Travis Knight envisioned the character. But for me, Evelyn really didn't work. It was really more annoying. There was one kind of funny little thing they built into her, though, because, Skeletor, not being the best boss, sometimes gets a little physically abusive with his underlings. And like, there's a recurring thing in it where when he, is getting angry at Evelyn, like he'll grab her by the neck or make sure you get me whatever. And she's like, yes, my lord. And then the camera, after Skeletor walks away, the camera goes close to her face and she kind of implies with this little grin, like she kind of gets off on Skeletor being physically abusive to her. I don't know. It is what it is. Take that what you will. But I really didn't like Evelyn. I want to, because I love Alison Brie.
Yeah, me too.
I think she's great. Her movie that she did last year with her husband, Dave Franco. Together. One of the best little horror movies I've seen in a long time. It's fantastic. I love her, but didn't love her in this movie. There was also a really interesting dynamic in it. A lot of the movie feels like it's aware that this is based on a children's animated movie or animated TV show. And they want it, therefore, to feel like a children's movie. Okay, I can get into that. Although you can do children's movies and make the jokes really funny and make the satirical stuff really sharp. But a lot of times they don't. Like, it's okay to be aimed at children, just make the jokes funny. And a lot of times the jokes weren't. But this was the other interesting thing, and I said this to Anne when we came out of the theater. A lot of the movie feels like it's targeting kids, right? And yet, there's a lot of swearing in it. And we all knew there'd be at least one, but there had to be 6, 7, or 8 fisting jokes. I mean, we knew there would be with Fisto, right? But they did the joke once, and then they did it again, and then again, and again, and again. Like that, like seriously, without exaggeration, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
It's fisting a dead
jokes.
horse.
Yeah. Fisting a dead horse. And then, again, I found this joke funny, but it just kind of felt weird with it. So much of the movie feeling like it was tailored for kids. I'm going to give away a joke. Sorry, guys, but it's only one joke. I'm going to give away one joke.
No.
Ram Man is doing his ramming thing, and Fisto says to him, "Give them head." And they all stop and look awkwardly at him. So, like, there's jokes about giving head and fisting and a lot of swearing, while it feels like it was kind of targeted at kids. So it felt this weird, like, duality in the movie in a way.
Like they didn't know what they were, in a sense.
Now, the overall tone, too, I just felt a little cringy. Again, no play on words on cringer. Like the opening of the movie, well, first they go through this kind of backstory, just Adam as a child on Eternia. But then the first part of the movie after that is just Adam on Earth. Unwatchable. I didn't like the Adam character. He's in a workplace, but it felt more like it was trying to be a bad version of Office Space. And it just, none of it worked. Him finding the sword didn't work. The one part on Earth that really worked, which is the part they showed us in the preview and a part they preview in one of the trailers, is Beastman coming to Earth. Oh, and by the way, other thing that worked really well. Beastman looked amazing. Some of the visual effects are quite shaky in the movie, but some of them are mind-blowing. And Beastman was one of the mind-blowing, just a great triumph of a visual accomplishment. He looked fantastic. Really liked him. But Tila was pretty good. Man-at-Arms was good. Just, again, a lot of the film just felt... the jokes felt flat. The silliness of it. Silliness can be fun. Look at the Lego movie. But silliness can also just feel dumb. And a lot of times it does that. So I walked out really torn, Rob, because, I went in really wanting to like this movie. And I've liked a number of the things I've seen from it and all that kind of stuff. And there are some absolute significant pros. And I remember getting into the last 15 minutes of the movie, and I thought to myself, I'm still on the edge about whether I like this movie or dislike the movie. I knew I wasn't going to love it, and I could tell I wasn't going to hate it, but I didn't quite know. And by the end of it, I kind of fell a little bit on the dislike part. So yeah, but you know what? At the same time, right now, the movie's got a 72%, which is respectable. I can totally see why another person walked out of that movie having had a little bit of a better time than me. I can totally see it. Like, so this score, I wouldn't have been surprised with a 48. I'm not surprised with a 72. I would have been surprised with a 20. I would have been surprised with an 85, but it's right in there right around where I think it kind of deserves to be. So that's kind of my take on Masters of the Universe. Anything you want to know? Any questions you have about it?
Well, it sounds like you're describing kind of what I feared, in the sense that if you're going to create a world like this, to constantly then rely on humor that is outside of the world, like making jokes about give him some more head, it doesn't really belong. You know, you're kind of breaking the fourth wall in a way. Whereas you look at a movie like Dungeons and Dragons, which I think we all hoped it would be more like.
That's a really good comparison. If it could have been more like, because Dungeons and Dragons was able to do all those things,
yes,
but do them well, and Masters of the Universe not as much.
It retained the integrity of the universe that it created. And I was afraid that, and I'll tell you something, I wonder if some of that kind of humor was mandated by Mattel, you know, or because the companies do maintain a certain amount of control over the content of this. And I think that that's somehow problematic. I really think that if they had kept the integrity of the universe, so you're never taken out of it by jokes. You can have all the humor you want, but the humor has to stay inside of the universe that the film is presented. Once you keep breaking that with colloquial humor, it doesn't work. You're shattering the illusion that you're creating with all the great effects and Beastman looking good and like doing a faux Office Space. You could have done it more like The Last Starfighter. In the beginning, when you meet the character in Last Starfighter, you know, he's working, he lives in a trailer park, and he's working, he also works at the trailer park, but it doesn't make the workplace a bad place. Like, it doesn't turn the workplace itself into a bad place. It just is. And what you're doing is you're not setting up a reality there. You're using tropes. And I don't like that.
Yeah, again, you need to see the movie, because you may watch the movie yourself and have a totally different opinion of it than I do.
Know.
By the way, I will say another thing. There's I don't want to call it a post-credit scene, because it's like they just tagged this one little thing at the very, very end of the movie that I think any fans of the original series are going to adore. And then there's a mid-credit scene, which I didn't care about, to be honest with you, but a lot of people in my audience cheered, and I could see a lot of audiences cheering. So stick it through the credit, like make sure you're there for the very button of the film at the end, and stick through to the mid-credit scene, because I think a lot of people are really going to quite like it. I like the last little stuff they did at the end. And you know, again, near the end of the film, they decided in the last like 2 or 3 minutes of the movie, maybe 5 minutes of the movie, to really target jokes just at the animated show. Like the ridiculousness of some of the things they would do in the animated show. And they really target those in the jokes. And I got to say, that part I found really enjoyable. But again, it's weird that I still think overall the best part of the movie was Skeletor. He was done very, very well. Some of the logic didn't make any sense, but you know, it was a pretty interesting thing there. So anyway, guys, that's my thoughts on Masters of the Universe. I think a number of you will enjoy it. I think there's a number of you that won't. I'm close to the middle, but I lean a little bit to I didn't really like it. Certainly some enjoyable things, but I think I disliked it a little bit. I won't be going back to watch it again. Anyway, guys, did you have a chance to go to one of those fan screenings for Masters of the Universe last night? If so, what did you think? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, I've never been a fan of the Scary Movie franchise. I think one of them I thought was pretty okay. A lot of the humor I didn't find funny. So I wasn't interested in the new Scary Movie 6, when they announced it. But hold the phone, because then they released that first trailer. And it's been a while since I've seen a trailer that funny. And I said words I never thought I would say. Man, I can't wait to see the new Scary Movie because it looked really good. Now, I have not yet seen it. I'm going to try to go run and see it this afternoon. However, I found out the other day that they weren't actually going to be releasing the review embargo until the day the movie comes out. I'm like, in my best Dave Chappelle voice, oh no, that's not good. And I thought, well, who knows? Maybe it's nothing. But it's never a good sign when they don't lift the review embargo until the day of the movie, because that's generally a sign that the studio does not believe in the film. And they just want their marketing to do the job. Well, they may have been right to do that, because with the review embargo now lifted, Scary Movie is sitting at about a 30%. And the reviews are not good. They're not good. And the people that do like it, they're like kind of liking it. You'll see what I mean. Let's go over and take a look at some of the reviews here. Loud and Clear Reviews wrote, there is a layer of irony in the movie's criticism of the culture around nostalgia in the film, while indulging in the audience's nostalgia for Ferris, Hall, and the Wayans. So rather than coming off as clever, it kind of becomes perceived as hypocritical. Daily Dead liked it, but just by a little. Another stoner stupid parody of a good time horror spoofy, as unpretentious as it is comfortably dumb. Richard Cross didn't like it, said a fire hose of references, crude puns, and goofy gags. Scary Movie makes other spoof flicks like Airplane, which I think is probably the all-time gold standard.
Yeah.
Sophisticated by comparison. Time Out didn't like it. They said it jars and bumps like a bucking bronco, sketch comedy at a hyperactive pace, tossing out clunkers and punchlines just to see what sticks. Where are we at here? Guillermo liked it, saying, those who follow the franchise and grew up alongside it, it will be able to reconcile their differences and recognize that, finally, the story has found a clear purpose and therefore a reason for being. All right. Claren liked it, probably the most. They gave it a 3 out of 4. Said the film is quite raunchy and it's anything but scary, but after how weak the last few Scary Movies have been, this one can't help but be welcomed as a breath of fresh air. Randy Meeks liked it. Said this consciously over-the-top cinema, a fantastic, utterly stupid, where the barrage of gags ultimately works through sheer accumulation. Screen Rant didn't like it. They said, while the effectiveness of the jokes may be subjective, a lot more of them thud than land. Scary Movie simply isn't collected enough to be as effective as it should be. NME didn't like it, said, the film is really just an excuse to string together a bunch of cinematic in-jokes, meaning it lives or dies by the strength of its sketches. The result is a slow death that drags even at 96 minutes. Alonzo over at the Film Verdict didn't like it, said Scary Movie gets its biggest laughs when it strays away from the formula based on spotting references and finding humor from other sources. And anyway, just kind of goes on to that. A good example of this too, Joe Lipset, 3 out of 5, liked it, but 3 out of 5. William Bibiani, which a lot of you guys know, didn't like it. Even the ones that liked this, like 3 out of 5, 6 out of 10, but the 70% of them just straight up didn't like it. And they seem to be pointing things. Now, remember, I'm saying this as somebody who hasn't seen it yet. Okay, keep that in mind. I'm saying this as somebody who has not seen it yet. But these sound very familiar to me, Rob, about kind of why I don't like any of the other Scary Movies. A lot of jokes, some of them pretty good, most of them not. Most of them don't make me laugh. Most of them are just dumb. And, you know, I like crude humor, maybe too much. I like dumb humor, but it's still got to be funny. And it sounds kind of in line with why I haven't liked the rest of them. And it kind of sounds like it makes sense why the studio refused to lift the review embargo until the day the movie comes out. Anyway, you read a bunch of the reviews and talked to a bunch of people. Where's this sitting for you?
Well, you know, I was actually kind of excited for this movie, and I, you know, started seeing the reviews.
That trailer was awesome.
It was awesome, and it was pretty contemporary in terms of its references and things like that. But reading this, I think, look, spoof comedies, they walk a very thin rope with me, because the first one I really ever saw, I mean, look, we came out of Blazing Saddles, Young Frankenstein, and then Airplane bringing this particular brand of humor. So I grew up as a kid, and then 1980, I was probably 13 when I saw Airplane. You go back and you watch that movie now, it's still genius. The jokes,
it's still
the
top-notch.
jokes still work.
It's the way they time their jokes. It's,
The time.
And also,
great.
it's so. And
Dude, one of the lines that still makes me laugh so hard. If you don't mind, I'll take a shot at it. I speak jive.
oh yeah,
Oh my
I mean, it's all of it is so. It's so funny, and
guys!
it's so
if any
well,
of you have not seen the original Airplane,
yeah, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
Yeah, it's-
you gotta watch the original
it's
Airplane.
so there's so many things in it that are so clever. But the movies that followed, some were great, but some were just interminable, and you can barely watch them. And a few of the scary movies were like that. And I mean, life's too short. I'd rather go see a movie like Tuner, which isn't getting nearly enough praise, than something like Scary Movie. That's 2 hours of my life, or 86 minutes, or 96 minutes of my life I'm never going to get back. I don't want to do that anymore. I'm too old.
Yeah, there's a really dumb comment in our live chat saying critics don't like parody movies. Yes, they do. When they're good,
Yeah.
they really do like parody movies. So get your head out of your ass. Yes, they do. When they're done well. Because like some of the great, it's just been a while. I'm trying to remember the last straight up parody movie that was actually any good.
I mean, I like the first scary.
The new Naked Gun. The new Naked Gun was pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
It finished a little weak, but overall the movie was pretty damn funny.
Oh wow, thank you, Orange Man. 20,
Just sent in a $20
Wow.
or 20 memberships.
Yeah.
Thank you, Orange Man. That's amazing. Thank you, dude. Anyway, what's the last one you remember like? Because the new Naked Gun was pretty good.
That was probably the last one that I've seen. But like I said, it was Mel Brooks that first started out doing parodies. I mean,
So
your
brilliant.
beloved Spaceballs, and then it was the Zucker brothers and Zucker, Abrams, Zucker, the Zaz team, and they, Airplane and the forgotten, brilliant Top Secret.
I was just gonna say, like later on, you get Top Secret.
They were so good.
Top Secret after Airplane. Top Secret is probably my second favorite.
I
of all
really
time.
liked Hot Shots in
Hot
the 90s.
Shots Part
Hot-
2.
yeah.
I think was even better.
And I liked what is it, Loaded Weapon or whatever that
The
was with
first
Emilio
Loaded
Estevez.
Weapon was pretty good
Estevez
too.
and
Yeah, I think it was right around Meet the Spartans that the genre died.
and another teen movie. Those were terrible.
Yeah,
yeah,
they were so
like
bad.
and listen, doing good spoof comedy is tricky.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to pretend like it's an easy thing, but and again, Liam Neeson's new Naked Gun movie kind of proved you can still do it.
Well, I think
but
the
it's
key
hard.
is the movie itself has to work despite the jokes.
Yeah.
right.
And the thing about Airplane, it was a send up, but the story worked. And it was what a genius movie.
Well, you also had, I mean, what was beautiful about Airplane is all those actors were really thought of as serious actors of their time.
Except for of course Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
but
well,
he had
But
the
but I
great-
mean-
perfect in there.
But
Yeah.
I mean, as far as like the main, they were thought of as like serious actors, and then to see them in this, it was like, what?
and when they finally broke Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, when the kid's like, my dad says you don't try,
Listen,
except
kid."
during the playoffs. Listen, kid. Try and run Walton up and down the court for 50 minutes.
we could just sit here and talk about Airplane
Yeah,
all day.
exactly.
It's so funny.
But I think, again, I'm going to go see it. I'm going to go see the new Scary Movie. I'm now fearing I'm just going to think of it the way I think of the other ones. It just kind of highlights, man, doing truly effective, truly funny spoof is really tricky. It's the easiest thing to try,
right.
but it's one of the hardest things to really nail. And, we'll see what happens. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? The reviews for Scary Movie don't look great. And a lot of the big criticism is just, it's not funny. That's the hardest thing, man. If you're a comedy and you're not making people laugh, that's tricky. I don't know. Maybe you're somebody who really loved the other Scary Movies and this one might suit you. I didn't really love the other ones, but maybe I'll like it anyway. Anyway, whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts.
Techniques bring up Black Dynamite. I did like Black Dynamite.
Oh, I love Black Dynamite.
Yeah, it was really good.
And then his more recent one, where it's a Western, was really good too. But I
Yeah.
can't remember the name now.
But those were comedic. They weren't necessarily spoofs.
Right.
They were comedies within the genre.
But there's a lot of satire in them.
Yeah,
though.
there was.
Yeah.
But I think of those more like Black Dynamite was more like a legitimate comedy.
God, Black Dynamite is so funny.
Outlaw Johnny Black. Thank you, David Rose.
Outlaw Johnny Black was also really good. All right. With that down, guys, let's move on to this. Well, the Odyssey, the upcoming Christopher Nolan film, is in the news for a number of reasons today, and we're going to talk about those reasons separately. But one of the reasons that it's in there is because the official MPA rating has now come out. And I'll be honest with you, if you had asked me to bet $5 on it a week ago, I would have bet the $5 on the Odyssey being PG-13. It looks like a PG-13 film. A lot of Nolan's films are PG-13. I thought this looks like it's PG-13, but according to Variety, nope, Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey earns an R rating. Now, of course, I believe his last film, I think Oppenheimer was rated R, was it not?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, so Oppenheimer was rated R. And of course, some of his earlier films were also rated R, but he's done a lot of PG-13 as well. So this leads me to a couple things. One, I think we can now probably feel pretty good that this is probably going to be a very violent movie. I mean, look, that little scene that they showed in theaters of the Trojan horse and everything,
Right.
obviously very violent, but I think the violence is probably going to get even a lot more graphic as we get into it. So that's one of the things that's going to give you an R rating. I don't think we're going to hear Matt Damon dropping a lot of F-bombs in the Odyssey, but who knows? I wonder if they're going to get into nudity and like a lot of nudity or not with the R rating, because, you know, surely the graphic violence would be enough to get the R rating by itself. But then you got to question what some of the other things could be in there. And I wonder if there's going to be some sex and nudity in IMAX.
Shirley.
Don't
John?
call me Shirley. Nice callback. So this is pretty interesting to me. It does raise the question, though, if that R rating is going to hinder its box office potential. Because right now, like, I would have thought this is going to be one of the biggest R-rated grossing films of all time. And if we go over right now and take a look at the highest grossing R-rated films of all time, at number 5 is Deadpool 2, that made 785. Demon Slayer Infinity Castle made 793. Oppenheimer, the aforementioned Christopher Nolan film,
I see Oppenheimer.
nearly $1 billion. Then $2 billion R-rated films in history. Joker at 1.07, and then the highest grossing R-rated film of all time, Deadpool and Wolverine at 1.33 billion. I wonder, though, if this R rating is going to hurt it a little bit, because now you can't get a group of, 14, 15-year-olds running out to the theater by themselves to go watch it. They're going to have to go. They can still see it. They just got to go see it with a guardian or somebody who's an adult, right? So I wonder about that. So, Rob, you hear that the Odyssey is getting an R rating, okay? What do you think the R is going to be based on? And do you think it's going to have kind of any impact on the box office? What do you think?
Well, if people are going to be seduced by sirens, or something like that, maybe there's a little bit of nudity, a little sexual content. But I would imagine, look, when there's soldiers with swords, there's bloodshed.
Yeah.
People are getting, when, you get shot by a gun, like Christopher Nolan does a great job of showing no blood in The Dark Knight. Pretty much, even though people are getting gunned down left and right, especially in that opening scene, you just never see squibs. I don't see how you can deal with men with swords hacking each other to death without having it being extraordinarily violent. Yeah. Plus, in the trailer, like this scene, the giants are coming. I bet some guys get really wrecked in this scene. So I would imagine it's probably for violence, maybe some sexual activity, but it's got to be for violence. And look, no matter what, it's still respectable. I could see a lot of kids dragging their parents to it because it's not like it's a horror movie. Sure. It's not like it's a raunchy teen sex comedy.
There's elements of horror to it, right?
Yeah, there are.
Yeah, so there is some of that in there too.
But I mean, I think because it's a historical epic, based on an epic poem that people have been reading for thousands of years, I think it'll be seen as more. But by the way, does anybody at a movie theater still enforce ratings?
I mean,
I know some theaters that do. Like, I know the one that I was like, the AMC Burbank 16. Yeah, I've seen them enforcing that stuff before. Were you going to say something, Jonathan?
Too long.
I honestly forgot what I was going to say, because then I was thinking about what you were just saying about the enforcing.
Yeah, I haven't been. I mean,
And by the way, somebody in the live chat, and this would have been completely legitimate 15 years ago. Somebody in the live chat said, well, what teenagers will do then is buy tickets to Supergirl and then sneak in to the Odyssey.
It's
The
sold
problem
out.
with that is that's very 1994. You can't do that today because today we've become civilized and we have pre-assigned seating. So you can sneak into Odyssey, grab a seat, but then the people who have that seat are going to come in and show, hey, this is my seat. So that doesn't really work today. So it's going to be really interesting there. So yeah, I'm kind of curious. I really thought it would have gotten a PG-13.
Yeah, and I don't know if it'll hurt the box office, but it's definitely doesn't make it a 4-quadrant movie.
That's
So-
true. Yeah. All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? It is now official. The Odyssey, Christopher Nolan's new film, is getting an R rating. Why do you think it's getting the R? Do you think it might be nudity, sexual situations? Do you think it's going to be about the violence, maybe some horror stuff? And other question is, how much do you think, if at all, this might affect the box office? I mean, I think it's an automatic. I thought it was an automatic that would be in the top 5 highest grossing R-rated films of all time, but maybe it won't at this point. I don't know. Whatever you guys think about it, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we haven't done it in a little bit, so we thought today would be a good time to play us a little game of Overreaction.
All right.
Here's the way Overreaction works. A little bit earlier today, we jumped on the community tab on the YouTube channel, and we asked you guys to submit your hottest of hot takes. And then Rob and I will adjudicate whether your hot take is an overreaction or not. Jonathan's got a bunch pulled out there. So Jonathan, what we got up first?
All right, Rob, starting with you. Is this an overreaction? We're going to hear from Reverend Denji. The Odyssey will set the record for the highest grossing opening weekend for an R-rated film.
No way. No chance. It's not going to beat Deadpool and Wolverine. Not by a long mile.
So you think it's going to flop? Interesting.
I don't think it's going to flop.
Robert My Burnett says the Odyssey will fly.
I did not say that. I said that it's an overreaction to say it's going to be the highest grossing R-rated film.
Out of touch with modern audiences.
There's
is what
no
I'm
way
hearing.
that Deadpool and Wolverine will be
Yeah,
dethroned.
I have to 100% agree with you. Like, I think it's going to be very big.
Me too.
And we're going to talk about some evidence that it's going to be very big in a minute. But Deadpool and Wolverine opened to $211 million. I think only 6, 7, or 8 films in history have opened over $200 million. Like, it's an extremely rare thing. And yeah, I think it's going to open very, very big.
Yeah.
We're going to talk more about that in a bit. But I agree with Rob. It's not going to make $211 million opening weekend.
Although I will add just real quick, and not to call it like this would be like you would think this is true. They won't connect with Gen Z, but I can tell you firsthand, the Gen Zers in my house and their friends are all looking forward to the Odyssey. So
Yeah, I don't see why it wouldn't connect with Gen Z. That people of every generation can really appreciate
Yeah,
stuff
like they're
this anyway.
excited for this
Yeah.
movie.
Plus, remember, Gen Z, they're god
They're the
tier
ones
movies. Interstellar.
Well, and they're reviving the movie theaters right
Yeah.
now. So, all right, what's next?
Okay, John, we're going to go over to you. Is this an overreaction when we hear from Gianluca Denaro? Beyond the Spider-Verse will make the Spider-Verse movies the greatest trilogy of all time.
Look, you know I love the 2 existing Into the Spider-Verse movies. As a matter of fact, I think they are de facto the 2 best Spider-Man movies ever made. And I think if the new one can be on that level with them, it's going to be in the conversation of the greatest trilogies of all time. But no, it's not going to be the greatest trilogy of all time. I mean, the new one can come out and be the single greatest movie of all time, and it still won't make this trilogy the greatest of all time. The Godfather trilogy will still be better than it. The Lord of the Rings trilogy will still be better. And of course, right at the top of the mountain, the Star Wars trilogy is going to be up there. So it's just as great as those first 2 ones are. And you know why I love them passionately. They're not on the level of being the great. Now, maybe it gets into the conversation of the greatest superhero trilogy of all time. Maybe it becomes that part of the conversation. But no, this is an overreaction, Rob.
I totally agree. I mean, and look, I think that the Spider-Verse movies, not only are they great movies, but they're so clever and creative.
Oh, so creative.
And they transcend, they brought us a new animation style, especially for American animation. There's so much about those films to love, from the craft to the stories to the actual depiction of Miles Morales and his whole family. But yeah, it's not going to reach the heights. Also because I think that I think genre-wise, it's harder to transcend that genre to reach the levels of other trilogies. But they're still great. Still great.
They're more than great. I've been dying for this third one.
I know.
All right, what's next?
All right, over to you, Rob. Is this an overreaction? We're going to hear from Geeky. Toy Story 5 will be the highest grossing film this summer.
I don't think that's an overreaction. I think that is a distinct possibility. Will it outgross Spider-Man? Hard to say, but if it's great, we talked about this before. Look, with Zootopia 2 making $1.8 billion, I could see Toy Story 5 hitting those heights. I don't think it's an overreaction.
Yeah. Now look, if you're just straight flat line across the board asking me, what do I think will be the highest grossing film of the summer? I think Spider-Man Brand New Day will be, but it's not an overreaction to think it'll be Toy Story. I mean, Rob, your comparison to look at what, not just Zootopia 2, but Inside Out 2.
Right.
You know, if you look at those, and Toy Story already has a couple of billion-dollar films in its repertoire. It ranked as the #1 most anticipated movie of the summer, above the Odyssey, above Spider-Man. And the new trailer kills.
Yeah.
Like the new trailer makes it's got all that warmness of taking you right back to the world of Toy Story, yet very relatable and very applicable themes in it right now. Like it's the perfect 2026 Toy Story movie.
And also, there's never been a more 4-quadrant franchise than the Toy Story franchise.
100%. So you got all the modern audiences going to love it, but you also, now that the franchise is like 78 years old, you've literally got multiple generations of people who love it. So I think it'll be Spider-Man, just to be clear.
Yeah.
But I think it's enough of a race that I have to say predicting Toy Story will be, I just can't call that an overreaction. All right, what's next?
All right, on the back half now, John, going over to you. Is this an overreaction from Jay Toven? If Daredevil Born Again was on HBO instead of Disney Plus, the viewership would have been higher.
Well, I can see why you're saying that, but I'm going to call it an overreaction. And I'll tell you what, the reason I can see why you're saying is that Daredevil Born Again certainly felt more like an HBO show. Right? It didn't feel like a Disney Plus show. It felt like an HBO. So it might have felt a little bit more at home. But Jonathan, can you look up this data for me?
Yeah.
Comparing the total subscriber numbers to Disney Plus and HBO.
Yeah.
Because I know Disney Plus has a lot more subscribers. And so moving Daredevil Born Again from the streaming service that has more subscribers.
So 140 for HBO Max. And now I'll look up Disney Plus.
And moving it on to another streaming service that doesn't have as many subscribers, even if it feels a little bit more at home there and a little bit more better fit in, I think to think it would have gotten bigger numbers is an overreaction.
They don't disclose anymore, but the last was in 2025, and that was 131.6 for Disney Plus.
Really? Okay, anyway, Rob,
that might have been when they combined with Hulu, so it took a bump.
Yeah, I mean, what do I think about the whole thing? I think your reasoning is very sound. I don't necessarily think it would have gotten more viewers on HBO. I think the people that watch Daredevil. I think there was nobody out there that wouldn't have garnered more of an audience. As a matter of fact, I think less people might have watched it on HBO because they would have been less aware of it. I mean, Disney Plus has been the home of the MCU and all the other Marvel superhero films, so there'd be more people going there anyway.
By the way, I'm going to have to correct myself because you know what? I was thinking of the numbers of the combined Disney Plus Hulu service. Combined, it is a higher subscriber number than HBO Max. They are close, but according to the data I'm looking at here, HBO Max has slightly more subscribers than just the baseline Disney Plus.
But those two, I mean, you're not that off because
they are close, yeah.
Because if you have Hulu or what, like you're looking at Disney Plus stuff too. It's all in the same.
Yeah.
So,
all right, what's next?
All right, we're gonna go back over to Rob here. Is this an overreaction from Lieutenant John? If Supergirl, Lanterns, and Clayface are good, the DCU will be off to a better start than the MCU had.
I think that's an overreaction. I mean, the MCU had a great start. Iron Man itself was a unknown quantity and made $500 million. And then whilst Thor and Captain America did not reach those heights, I think from a critical and a audience perspective, the MCU roared out of the gate. I mean, I know people didn't like Thor: The Dark World, and people had a problem with Iron Man 2, but I think Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man were a great start. I don't think anybody would say I can't imagine a better start for a cinematic universe. Whereas the thing about, I don't care if Supergirl could be the greatest movie in the world and Clayface could be the greatest movie in the world, but they're not marquee players. They're not, you're like, okay, they're not, how are they going to be used moving forward? You're still waiting for Wonder Woman. You're still waiting for Batman. So with the MCU, you had 3 marquee players coming out, guns blazing, and Iron Man being the least known of the bunch.
Yeah,
So,
I gotta call this an overreaction. Now, look, let's revisit this. If Supergirl and Clayface are not just good, but they're, as Rob was saying, like top 5 films of the year.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, let's revisit that then. But right now, you're asking if they're good, they'll be off to a better start than the MCU. I think that's an overreaction because Iron Man 1. I think Captain America: The First Avenger is probably the 3rd most underrated comic book film of all time. Thor is the 2nd most underrated comic book film of all time, both of them behind my boy Henry over here with Superman. But Man of Steel, I just don't see, if the next 2 just coming out are really just quite good, I don't think it's on the same level as that Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, because that was a great start. I don't think the marquee of them, those characters, are going to play into it, because if the movie's excellent, the movie's excellent.
yeah, of
Like,
course.
if Supergirl comes out and it's just straight up better than Captain America,
But he was also asking about the universe, like where the universe would go.
It sets it up better.
well, this will be off to a better start.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to stick with this as an overreaction for now. And again, maybe let's revisit it later, because if Clayface and Supergirl are like movies we're going to be talking about for the next 20 years, maybe we revisit that. But for now, I'm going to call it an overreaction.
All right, on to our last final scenario here. John, goes over to you. Is this an overreaction? We're going to hear from David Sickles. With the success of Obsession, more studios are going to start doing big ad pushes the week after a movie's opening weekend.
Huge overreaction. Now, I know some of you might say, but John, I mean, you've said that's been kind of a key part. It has been. But here's the thing. Obsession is in a very unique position. Obsession, as of right now, has a 95% critic rating and a 94% audience rating.
Wow.
Like, this is a movie that people are already saying this very well could get a Best Picture nomination. I mean, it's early, but there are 10, and a lot of people, 10 nominees, and a lot of people love this movie. So it was a perfect storm of a movie that everybody surprisingly loved. And it's like, okay, everybody, let's capitalize on that, do a little bit of a bigger push. Not every movie is going to be Obsession, right? Not every movie is going to be like an instant, everybody, it's crowd pleasing, it's critic pleasing, and it's an awards contender. So maybe in the future, there'll be other films that check off those 3 boxes. Critics beloved, audience beloved, and legitimate awards contender. Okay, yeah, maybe then they'll look at doing second weekend pushes, but I think they already do that. But you're talking about 5% of the movies. So do I think studios are just going to come out and just whatever movie they got, start putting more money into a second week marketing campaign? No, I'm going to call that an overreaction, because there's very, 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 very few obsessions. Anyway, Rob, what do you think?
Well, you just said it. There are very few obsessions. And look, Focus Features knew. They looked at a film that was made for less than $1 million at Toronto, and they said, we're going to give you $15 million for it. And at that time, they knew that they had something. They could see what the audience, how they responded. They could see that this is a unicorn of a movie. I mean, it's a horror film that actually has a big social, it has a lot of, it's a zeitgeist moment for a whole generation of people. And the fact that word of mouth has rocketed this film past, it opened big, and then it got bigger and bigger its 3rd weekend. That's really unprecedented.
Not since E.T. 44 years ago.
Unbelievable. So this is not something that happens every day. You have to have the movie itself to be able to want to spend more money its second weekend.
Yeah, and it's interesting to note that I think the distributors already spent more than 20 times the production budget on marketing the movie. You don't get to say that every day. Like, they've literally spent more than 20 times what the production budget was on the marketing of the film, but it's paid off. Now, again, I don't want to paint a false picture. It's not like Obsession is a $900 million movie. As of right now, it's got made $161 million. It's impressive because of how much they spent on it, but still in the grand scheme of things, it's not like everybody in the world is rushing out to see it. But again, this was one of those very rare circumstances where a second week marketing push absolutely paid dividends. So, all right, guys. And that will wrap up today's installment of Overreaction. Thank you so much to all you guys who sent in your hot takes. Keep your eyes open on the community tab on the YouTube channel for the next time we put out calls for submissions, and maybe you'll see your hot take on the next round of Overreaction. All right, guys. Listen, we still have a couple of other things we got to talk about, including the Odyssey just crashed the movie ticketing websites. We're going to talk about that. And we now have an official runtime, apparently, for Spider-Man Brand New Day. We're going to talk about those things and a few things more. But first, we're going to take a second to thank the sponsor of today's episode of the John Campea Show, our friends at Pocket Hose. We want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Pocket Hose. Guys, I'm excited to tell you about the world's #1 expanding garden hose and their brand new product, the Pocket Hose Ballistic. As you guys can imagine, I'm not exactly gentle with my gear. I drag hoses across concrete over the pool, yank them around corners. I even coil and uncoil them all the time to put them in my camper van when I go out on my movie meetups. And generally speaking, a lot of them don't last. But the Pocket Hose Ballistic has been a totally different story for me. It's incredibly durable, super lightweight, and just makes the whole job easier. One of my favorite things is how simple it is to use. You turn the water on, it expands. Turn it off, it shrinks right back down to pocket size. And it's reinforced with a liquid crystal polymer, the same kind of material used in bulletproof vests. Plus, it comes with the pocket pivot, which gives you 360-degree rotation at the spigot so it moves with you instead of fighting against you. And now, for a limited time, when you purchase a new Pocket Hose Ballistic, you'll get a free 360-degree rotating pocket pivot and a free thumb drive nozzle. Just text Campea to 64,000. That's CAMPEA to 64,000 for your 2 free gifts with purchase. Text Campea to 64,000. Message and data rates may apply. And thank you to our friends at Pocket Hose for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show. All right, guys, that down. Let's talk about this. So, staying on the theme of the Odyssey tickets have gone back on sale, at least for IMAX screens. They've gone back. You guys remember about 11 months before the movie was going to come out, they put like the initial opening day IMAX tickets on sale, and they all sold out like within the hour. Well, now they put them on sale for what they're calling the largest format screens for that. So you can't just buy a ticket today for any normal screening of it, but for IMAX screens at least. And according to Variety here, the Odyssey Ticket Madness online wait times hit an hour as Christopher Nolan's epic pushes AMC sites to the limit. And it's not just AMC. By the way, I tried to go to AMC this morning to buy my Supergirl tickets because I forgot to do it yesterday. Supergirl tickets are now on. And when I went, I got this screen. Not to purchase, just trying to go to AMC's website.
Wow.
Period. Just trying to get to the front page of the AMC website, and I got this. You are now in line more than an hour wait just to load the website. Jonathan, you've been in queue since before the show started today. What's your status right now?
Oh, well, I already got in, and yeah, it puts you on the main landing page for AMC. It's just they're trying to gauge how many people can come in at a time. I did look at tickets, and they are selling Dolby Cinema, IMAX, and then whatever theater can do a 70 millimeter print.
That's probably what is AMC XL? Probably AMC XL.
And like Thursday and Friday, it's mostly sold out other than the first few rows, but Saturday and Sunday, you can still get tickets. So surprisingly, it must just be nationwide, at least at the Burbank. It's Thursday, Friday that are packed, and then peters out Saturday, Sunday.
Well, they may have just added those theaters too.
They could, because they also added as far as like, because I was like, well, what about the half off Wednesday? Normally those don't load up until way closer to the date. You can get Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday following and get in.
But everybody's trying to get in there on that opening
Yeah.
weekend. Everybody wants in on the opening weekend to get it. And by the way, Fandango is having similar issues right now. I don't know what the wait time on Fandango is right now, but we haven't seen this happen for a non-comic book movie in a while. And again, it's not even for all the regular screenings, just for the premium large format, the PLFs for this movie. And you know, it's funny because I still hear the narrative out there. Oh, Christopher Nolan said dad, and Lupita Nyong'o isn't pretty enough. You're an idiot. And Lupita Nyong'o said, no one's going to go see this. Bring up my screen again. Yeah, okay. Okay, Cletus. Sure. No one's going to go see the Odyssey anymore. Now, I don't know that the Odyssey is going to be a $1 billion film, especially with it being an R-rated film, and only 2 R-rated films in history have been $1 billion film. But yeah, you just go on believing that. You're adorable. Look, somebody asked during Overreaction if the Odyssey is going to be the biggest opening weekend box office ever for an R-rated film. The mark is very high. As we mentioned, it's Deadpool and Wolverine, which made $211 million. And I can't remember exactly how many there are, but I think it's only 6, 7, or 8 films in history have ever opened over $200 million. And especially with this movie now officially being rated R, it's going to make it extra tough. But my God, man. Like, I get it when they released the tickets for opening day. There's very, very few IMAX screens that they were selling the tickets for. And sure, they all sold out in under an hour. But the fact that just trying to load the website, and it's not just the website, by the way, it's also the AMC app. The AMC app was just saying, oh, you're adorable. No, you're not coming in right now. Sit down and wait. This is 211 million. I don't think so.
Yeah.
But this is going to be very big.
Yeah.
It's actually becoming like a YOLO thing. Like everybody wants to be there. Everybody wants to be in the room. Everybody wants to say, we saw Odyssey opening weekend on IMAX, on the PLFs, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, Rob, but I did not expect this. I did not expect tickets crashing. We should have done Ticket Watch for Odyssey, for heaven's sakes. Anyway, Rob, you're seeing this. Have you been able to secure your tickets yet? And,
no.
And what do you think about this?
No,
whole
I
thing
haven't.
here?
And I even told somebody yesterday, I said, hey, tickets go on sale. I totally forgot. This is not unexpected. I mean, look, Christopher Nolan is, especially with the younger generation, the same way we thought Spielberg was in the 80s. You know, Nolan's that guy. And I
think older generations are starting to think that too.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoy Christopher Nolan's films. I don't think Christopher Nolan is as good a director as Steven Spielberg is.
Well, Spielberg's the GOAT.
But yeah, I do think that this is not surprising. And look, it's great to see. I love that people are this amped about this kind of subject matter. Hopefully people will start reading more, because I would love to see that. Yeah, I know. We'll just watch the movie.
Robin books.
God,
the books. So look, I've already heard some people complaining, and believe me, I understand this because I've complained about this too. It's like, how in 2026 does AMC, this biggest movie theater chain in the world, by the way, and Fandango, the world's largest ticket seller, like having issues like this? But the reality is, and by the way, we're not talking about this being a problem for days. The reality is, any web service, if you pull a trigger and hit a button and you instantly flood it out of nowhere.
yeah.
Especially when you're trying to process purchases, right? It's not just site visitors. You're then trying to do a transaction, and that's a lot of resources. It's going to happen. Now, somebody could then come back to me and say, John, probably right now 100 times more people are on Amazon buying things, processing things, doing financial transactions, blah, blah, blah. No problem. and you'd be right. You'd be right about that. But the expense it takes to run Amazon as a merchant website is also astronomical.
Yeah.
And this is kind of a different level, but still, it would be nice to see, Rob, because listen, let's say I wanted to go to a movie this afternoon. I'm out of luck. I can't even get on to get my ticket. So this is a problem that AMC and others. So I saw somebody in Live Touch saying, hey, Cinemark site's working just fine, which is great. But Cinemark is a much smaller theater chain than AMC is, right? So they're not getting that huge influx to the same level as AMC. I would like to see AMC be able to fix this, because there's nothing worse than being excited about a movie and then trying to go and buy a ticket and you just simply cannot buy it.
Well, you'd think that they would have enough foresight. The problem is not every movie is like this. You know, they'll open however many movies they open a month, and they might get one movie every few months, every 6 months, that has the interest of the Odyssey. So they're not gonna scale up their systems for that big blockbuster, because they can't.
It has settled now,
expensive.
fortunately.
Yeah.
Now it's like 5-minute wait when you
By
go
the
on.
way, do we know? Yeah, I don't expect this to be a problem for
No,
long. I think it's just those initial couple of hours. It'll be fine by lunch. Do we know yet when Spider-Man Brand New Day tickets go on sale?
No.
Can you look
it
that up?
Yeah.
Because
Ticket Watch.
I listen, if we can actually get a date and it's not at midnight, I think we're going to have to do another Ticket Watch. Because if it's doing this for the Odyssey, R-rated, only for premium live or premium large screen formats.
June 26 is reported.
June 26th. Okay. So about a month before the movie comes out. AMC Fandango, they better get their ducks in a row, because if the sudden influx of ticket purchasing is this big right now, they're done. Like they're dead when Spider-Man tickets go on sale, because dare I say, Spider-Man is going to be I'm not saying it's going to be a better movie. I'm just saying it's going to be a bigger movie than the Odyssey. So you got to hope that they can get these things in. Oh my God. I'm just thinking about when Doomsday. Oh my God. What happens when Doomsday and Dune?
Hopefully
Now-
those don't go on sale the same day.
No, they have, even though those movies are opening on the same day, these are two companies that are absolutely going to have to talk to each other and say, hey, we agree. We can't put our tickets on sale the same day, right?
But you know what? How do you plan for the double feature if you don't know what the showtimes are?
Oh, that's right. You know what?
Well,
Celebrate
same day, let's do
Doomsday
this.
if you can.
I think 95% of people are not going to do a double feature that
Most
day.
people aren't.
I am.
I am too. Doomsday.
Just being there
Come
is
on,
part
let's
of
do it.
Doomsday.
Can you imagine if they did put the tickets for
Yes.
Doomsday and Dune on sale
the
on
Dune.
the same day? Like, there's no way. You're like, literally, you're gonna have to call into work sick and just sit at your computer for 6 hours in a queue. Like, there's just no way. And heaven forbid you're any other movie that's in theater that day hoping to sell tickets, and nobody can even get into the site to buy your ticket.
Like the AMC 16 has an IMAX theater, which we know Doomsday is not playing in. So you're going to be trying to get Dune tickets and Doomsday tickets for the same theater.
I'm going to both, and I'm going to dress like Zed from Zardoz that day
You
again.
should.
I'm bringing it back.
You know what? With my military calisthenics workout, I might join you by then.
I heard AMC has a loincloth discount.
Yeah.
Come to AMC in loincloth, get 10% off your tickets to AMC. I mean, listen, again, we've got some monster toys. When do Toy Story tickets go on sale? Are they going to have the same? I doubt they're going to have the same problem for Toy Story, because I don't think parents are going to be all that worried about seeing it
day one or whatever.
day one, day two. They're going to take their kids whenever. It's going to be a lot of them, but they'll do it whenever. But Doomsday, Dune on its own, I think they'll be fine. Because, Dune to me is not $1 billion franchise. It's the best franchise, but it's not $1 billion franchise. So I don't think that's good. But man, when Dune, oh God, Spider-Man, they got to fix this problem, man. They got to get this fixed up. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? The tickets for Odyssey, only for the premium large formats, has gone on sale again, and it is literally bringing the website of the world's largest movie theater chain to its knees. That and Fandango. What's going to happen when friggin' Spider-Man tickets go on sale? I don't know. Whatever you guys think about this, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. And all right, guys, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show part of your day. big special thank you to all you guys who have joined us live. There's thousands of you guys in the live chat. It's been great following your discussions and having you guys saying some pretty funny things.
I don't mean to talk about the running time of this show, but shouldn't we talk about the running time of Spider-Man?
Oh my God, I thought that was the last topic. I thought we were done.
I just keep looking at Spider-Man behind you there going, maybe
It's because we had to start a little later today, so we probably saw the hour and we're like,
I did.
it.
Yeah, we had to start a little bit late because there was a traffic jam and it took Rob a little longer to get here. You're right. Totally forgot. I think this
Sorry.
is the second time in the last 2 months I forgot to do the final topic.
I just thought I'd throw it out there.
You know what? Because you're right. I looked at the clock. It's like, oh, we were done. All right. There is one other issue that we got to talk about
don't
here
leave
today.
yet, guys.
Let's move on to this, shall we? For
do
those
it.
of you still here.
Let's do it.
Spider-Man, brand new day, which I'm sure is going to crash the ticket websites again on June 26th. We've been talking about what the potential runtime of the film will be. And now, according to reports that are out there, we now have what it is. As reports are saying this, the Spider-Man brand new day runtime is at 2 hours and 25 minutes.
Yeah.
This makes it shorter than Spider-Man No Way Home, but I believe about 15, 16, 17 minutes longer than the first two Spider-Man movies, the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, that is. Now, a lot of this is coming from, that's the wrong screenshot. There's the right one. That some theaters have been posting runtimes. And as you can see down here under the title of the movie, they're posting the runtime at 2 hours and 25 minutes. That fits very comfortably in with not just the Spider-Man franchise that we've had up until this point, but it kind of fits very well in with where a lot of blockbuster films are now coming in. We're not going over the 3 hour mark in a lot of these, and I don't think Spider-Man should be all that long. So I think it's about 5 minutes shorter. I can't remember exactly off the top of my
Only
head.
3 because it's 2:28 for No Way Home.
For No Way Home. Okay, so it's just a couple of minutes shorter. About, like I said, about 15 minutes longer than the other two ones. I actually think Spider-Man movies are served better a little bit shorter. It's just the nature of the films. I think being a little bit shorter is good, but I don't think 2 hours and 25 minutes is unreasonable either. And it sounds like they've got a lot of stuff, a lot of ground they're going to try to cover in this. So I think this is a perfectly reasonable, acceptable, not shocking kind of number. If I had to guess, Rob, if somebody had bet me $5 and said, do you think they would have do you think they're going to make this over 2.5? I probably would have guessed yes by a little bit, but I think 225 is perfectly good. What do you take away from this?
Look, I think that's a great, I mean, I obviously haven't seen the movie, but I think it's a great length. I mean, it seems like that's kind of a sweet spot for these kind of movies. When you get to 3 hours, that's a doomsday for me, or that's a Infinity War Endgame. But 2.5 hours seems right in keeping with the kind of length these films should be. You know, it's so funny when people get to like, well, it's only 2 hours. But I mean, look, a movie should be just as long as it needs to be. Kind of like how a wizard shows up whenever they mean to.
Precisely when they mean to.
You know, I mean,
a wizard is never late.
you think that when you get a movie, they cut the movie to be the best movie it can be. And this sounds like it's a full meal. So a lot of people in this movie, a lot of villains in this movie, a lot of personal issues to solve in this movie. I'm excited. I can't wait.
Looks like he had a web dream.
Yeah,
Oh, jeez. The name of this picture is Sploosh. So
Nocturnal Emission.
here's the thing, though. At the end of the day, like I say this all the time, you never know what the right runtime for it is until you see it, because every movie has a runtime that is right for it. There are a lot of movies I've seen that have been 1 hour and 10 minutes that legitimately felt a little too long. There have been movies that have been 2 hours and 45 minutes that felt a little bit too short. Every movie has a runtime, but you just never know until you watch it. Again, the hope is, and I think Destin will do this, is to put all the time in it that you need to explore your action, your dynamics, and your drama, but never overdo it to effectively do that. Because, you know, I've walked out a lot of movies that I've really loved, but had one criticism being they should have shaved maybe 10 minutes off it just to make certain scenes a little bit tighter, keep the cadence of the movie going, fully explore what you need to explore, but don't overindulge in anything. Just let it go. So we'll see if 2 hours and 25 minutes is going to be that
100%.
runtime for Spider-Man. All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Spider-Man, Brand New Day is apparently going to have a 2-hour and 25-minute runtime, at least according to the reports right now. Does that sound right around where you thought it would be? Were you hoping for something shorter? Were you hoping for something 5 hours? I don't know. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. And all right, guys, that is it for today's show. I won't do the whole preamble again. I'm just going to thank our technical director, Jonathan Voico.
See you guys later.
Writer, director, producer, Robert Meyer Burnett.
Scary Movie 6, huh?
Got to go see it. And of course, big thank you to you guys. My name is John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.